Maya Collins stood in front of the massive glass window, staring at the stars beyond. She had never imagined she would see space like this. Back on Earth, she could only dream about it. Now she was living on Station Zenith 7, a school floating among the stars where students from dozens of alien species came to learn together. The station was beautiful. Curved hallways stretched in every direction, lit by soft blue lights. The walls showed displays of different planets and cultures. Everything was clean and new. Nothing like the worn buildings back home. Maya touched the glass gently. Somewhere out there, millions of miles away, was Earth. Her home. Her family. Beautiful, is it not? A voice said behind her. Maya turned to see her roommate, Iris 7. The Quellan girl was tall and thin, with pale purple skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Her eyes were large and completely black like pools of ink. She had no hair, but delicate patterns swirled across her scalp, changing colors based on her mood. Right now they glowed soft green, which Maya had learned meant curiosity. Yes, it is, Maya said quietly. I am still getting used to it all. Iris 7 tilted her head in a way that reminded Maya of a curious bird. You are the third human I have met. Your species is very interesting, very careful. Maya smiled but did not say anything. Careful was a good word for it. The human students had received very clear instructions before coming to the academy. Do not show off. Do not scare the other species. Humans were still new to the galactic community, and many aliens were nervous about them. Earth had a reputation. Come, Iris 7 said, her pattern shifting to yellow with excitement. We will be late for orientation. I want to show you the main hall. It is quite impressive. They walked through the curved hallways together. Maya kept her steps light and easy. Even though the gravity here was much lighter than Earth's, she felt like she could jump and float away at any moment. Every movement had to be controlled, thought about. Back home, she never had to think about walking. Other students filled the hallways. Maya saw dozens of different species, each stranger than the last. There were the Krillians, massive beings that stood over 8 feet tall. Their bodies were covered in thick natural armor that looked like dark metal. They moved slowly but powerfully, and other students gave them space. Maya watched one Krillian student accidentally bump into a wall, and the wall dented. He did not even seem to notice. There were also Vexians who wore special suits because they could breathe in space without protection. Their suits were beautiful, decorated with symbols and lights. Small floating creatures called Pix drifted through the air, leaving trails of light behind them, and there were dozens of other species Maya could not name yet. Many of them stared at her as she passed. Maya was used to it by now. Humans were rare here, exotic, dangerous. She heard whispers as they walked. That is one of them. From Earth. I heard their planet is rated Class 12, the highest danger level. How can something so small survive there? Maybe they are not as tough as the stories say. Maya kept her face neutral and kept walking. She had heard it all before. To these students, humans were both fascinating and confusing. Earth was famous across the galaxy as one of the most dangerous planets anyone had ever found. The gravity was crushing. The weather was extreme. The animals were deadly. Diseases and toxins were everywhere. Most species would die within hours of landing on Earth without serious protection. But looking at Maya, none of them could understand how. She was small compared to most students here. She had no armor, no claws, no natural weapons. She looked soft, breakable, weak. That was exactly what she wanted them to think. They reached the main hall, and Maya had to admit it was impressive. The room was huge, with a ceiling that showed the stars above them. Hundreds of students filled the floating seats that adjusted to each species' needs. At the front, a massive holographic display showed the Academy symbol. Humans sit over there, Iris 7 said, pointing to a section near the middle. I will be in the Quellan section, but we can meet after. Maya nodded and made her way over. She immediately spotted the other 2 human students. Jake Morrison sat with his arms crossed, looking completely relaxed. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with short dark hair and an easy smile. He was in the military track program, training to work on ships and stations. When he saw Maya, he waved her over. Maya, over here! She sat next to him and he grinned. Crazy, right? I keep thinking I'm going to wake up back in Texas. I know what you mean, Maya said. The third human student leaned over from the row behind them. Beth Carter had red hair pulled back in a ponytail and kind green eyes. She was studying medicine, hoping to learn how to treat different species. How are you settling in? I heard you got matched with a Quellan roommate. That is great. They are supposed to be really nice. She is, Maya agreed. Very helpful. Have you had any trouble? Beth asked quietly. I heard some students were being difficult. Maya shrugged. Nothing serious. Just stares and whispers. Jake's smile faded a bit. If anyone gives you real trouble, you tell us. We have to stick together here. Before Maya could respond, the lights dimmed. The orientation was starting. Principal Vexthon appeared at the front of the hall. He was Krillian, even larger than the students of his species. His armor was darker and more decorated, marked with symbols of rank and achievement. His voice was deep and rumbling like rocks grinding together. Welcome, students of Zenith 7, he began. You represent the finest of your species. You are here because you showed intelligence, skill, and promise. This academy will challenge you in ways you cannot imagine. You will learn not just facts and skills, but understanding. You will learn to work with species different from yourselves. You will learn that the galaxy is vast and we are all part of it. His eyes swept across the room, and for a moment Maya felt like he was looking directly at her. Some of you come from worlds of comfort and ease. Others come from worlds of challenge and danger. But here you are all equal. Here you will all be tested fairly. The rest of the orientation covered rules, schedules, and expectations. Maya listened carefully, memorizing everything. She could not afford to make mistakes here. Too many people were watching humans, waiting to see if they would succeed or fail. After the orientation ended, the students began to file out. Maya stayed close to Jake and Beth, feeling safer in a group. But as they walked through the halls, she felt eyes on her back. When she glanced over her shoulder, she saw 3 Krillian students watching her. They were young, probably first years like herself, but they were still massive and intimidating. One of them, the largest, met her eyes. His expression was not friendly. Maya quickly looked away and kept walking. Do not worry about them, Jake said quietly. He had noticed too. Krillians respect strength. Once they see what humans can do, they will back off. That is the problem, Maya said softly. We are not supposed to show what we can do. Jake frowned but did not argue. He knew she was right. The integration protocols were clear. Humans were supposed to blend in, not stand out, not yet. Not until the other species were more comfortable with them. Over the next few days, Maya settled into a routine. Classes were challenging but manageable. She studied alien biology, galactic history, mathematics, and survival techniques. The survival class was her favorite, even though she had to pretend it was difficult. The instructor would present scenarios that were supposed to be dangerous. Toxic atmosphere, extreme temperatures, high gravity, dangerous terrain. The other students struggled with these simulations, carefully planning every move. Maya just did what felt natural to her. The extreme gravity was lighter than Earth's. The toxic atmosphere was less dangerous than some of the polluted areas back home. The extreme heat was like a summer day in Arizona. She tried to look like she was working hard, but she could tell some students noticed how easily she handled things. Especially the 3 Krillian students who had watched her after orientation. They were in several of her classes and they always seemed to be staring at her. Their leader was named Drakmor. He was huge even for a Krillian, with dark red armor and cold eyes. The other 2, Zethic and Vental, followed him everywhere like shadows. Maya tried to avoid them, but it was hard in the close quarters of the station. One day after class, Drakmor stepped in front of her in the hallway. Human, he said, his voice like grinding stone. You are Maya, yes? Yes, Maya said calmly, even though her heart was beating faster. She was very aware of how much larger he was. If he wanted to hurt her, he could easily, if she did not fight back. I do not understand why your species is here, Drakmor said. You are small, weak. You have no armor, no claws. What can you possibly teach us? Maya met his eyes steadily. I am here to learn. Same as you. You should not be here, Zethic added from behind Drakmor. Humans do not belong in this academy. You're only here because the council felt sorry for your primitive planet. Maya felt a flash of anger but pushed it down. Excuse me, she said quietly, trying to step around them. Drakmor moved to block her path. We are not finished talking. I am, Maya said. Her voice was still calm, but something in her tone made Drakmor pause. For just a second, something flashed in his eyes, something that might have been caution. The problem started small. Maya would return to her room to find her belongings moved or missing. Her data pad would mysteriously lose its charge. Her clothes would have strange stains on them. Nothing she could prove was deliberate, but she knew. Everyone knew Iris 7 noticed immediately. The Quellen girl's head pattern shifted to angry red when she saw Maya's ruined jacket. "This is not acceptable," she said firmly. "You should report this to the administrators." Maya shook her head. "I have no proof. And I do not want to cause trouble." "You are not causing trouble," Iris 7 insisted. "They are. The Krillian students. I have seen them watching you. I can sense their hostility." She tapped her head. "My people feel emotions from others. They radiate anger and resentment toward you." "I know," Maya said quietly, "but reporting them will only make it worse." What Maya did not tell Iris 7 was that she understood why the Krillians were angry. It was not really about her being weak. It was about her being strong in ways they did not understand. She was doing well in classes that were designed to be nearly impossible. She was acing the survival simulations, and she was doing it all while looking small and harmless. It challenged everything they believed about strength and power. And that made them angry. The next few weeks were harder. Drakmor and his friends became bolder. They would bump into Maya in the hallways, hard enough to knock smaller species down. But Maya had been expecting it. She would shift her weight at the last second, absorbing the impact without falling. This only seemed to make them angrier. They started spreading rumors. Humans had cheated to get into the academy. Earth was not really as dangerous as everyone said. The human students were frauds who would fail as soon as things got difficult. Some students believed the rumors. Maya heard the whispers behind her back. But others were not so sure. They had seen Maya in the survival training. They had watched her treat impossible challenges like minor inconveniences. The survival training instructor, a veteran officer named Commander Raxeth, had noticed too. He was a Vexian, which meant he was used to harsh environments. One day after class, he called Maya over. "Cadet Collins," he said, his voice filtered through his suit's speaker. "I have been watching your performance. You complete the extreme environment simulations faster than any student I have taught." Maya felt a flash of worry. Had she been too obvious? "I just follow the training, sir." "Indeed," Raxeth said. He studied her carefully. "Tell me, how does our high-gravity simulation compare to your home world?" Maya hesitated. Then she decided honesty might be better than a lie he would not believe. "Earth's gravity is higher, sir." Raxeth was quiet for a long moment. "How much higher?" "About 2 to 3 times higher than the station's gravity, sir." "And about twice as high as your training simulation?" She watched understanding dawn in the commander's eyes. "So when you are in our extreme high-gravity training room, it feels lighter than home, sir," Maya admitted. "I am sorry if I should have been struggling more." To her surprise, Raxeth laughed. It was a strange sound through his suit. "Do not apologize for being competent, cadet. I am beginning to understand why the Council was so insistent on including humans in the Academy. Your species has adapted to conditions that would kill most of us. We are just trying to fit in, sir," Maya said quietly. "I know, and you are doing well. But be careful, cadet. Some students do not like being shown up, especially students who believe strength is everything." Maya knew exactly who he meant. "Yes, sir." The commander's warning proved accurate. The next day, during a mixed-species athletic event, things got worse. The game was similar to Earth basketball but played in 3 dimensions, using the station's adjustable gravity. Teams had to score by getting a ball through floating hoops while navigating shifting gravity fields. Maya was not very good at it. The constantly changing gravity threw off her instincts, and she kept moving too fast or too slow. She was used to Earth's consistent heavy pull. This felt like trying to run underwater, then suddenly on ice. Drakmor was on the opposing team. He played aggressively, using his size and strength to dominate the court. Maya tried to stay out of his way, but during one play they collided. She bounced off his armored chest and fell awkwardly. "Weak," Drakmor said loudly so everyone could hear. "This is why humans do not belong here. You cannot even play a simple game." Maya got up slowly, her face burning with embarrassment. She could have steadied herself, could have braced for the impact. But that would have meant showing her real strength, and she was trying so hard not to do that. Jake appeared at her side immediately. "You okay?" he asked quietly. "Fine," Maya said. But she was not fine. She was tired of pretending to be weak, tired of being pushed around, tired of holding back every moment of every day. After the game, Maya went to the training rooms alone. These rooms were designed for students to practice combat skills in controlled environments. She set up a simulation and locked the door. Then, for the first time since arriving at the academy, she let herself go. She moved through the combat simulation at full speed, not holding back. Her strikes were powerful and precise. She dodged attacks that would have been impossible for most species to even see. The simulation's difficulty kept increasing, but Maya kept pace with it. Finally, after 30 minutes, she stopped. She was breathing hard, covered in sweat, but she felt better. More like herself, impressive. Maya spun around. Jake was standing in the doorway. She had been so focused she had not heard him come in. "How long have you been watching?" she asked. "Long enough," Jake said. He came into the room and sealed the door behind him. "You know, you are not the only one who is tired of pretending." "What do you mean?" "I mean, the military instructors think they are pushing us so hard," Jake said with a slight smile. "They keep increasing the training intensity, expecting us to struggle. But their extreme training is just normal for us. I am running combat drills that are supposed to be impossible, and I am barely working up a sweat." Maya laughed despite herself. "So we are both hiding?" "All of us are," Jake said. Beth too. She was telling me about her medical training. They had her practice treating patients in a disaster scenario. Multiple injuries, limited supplies, high stress. She said it was easier than a busy Saturday night in an Earth emergency room. "So what do we do?" Maya asked. "Just keep pretending forever?" "No," Jake said seriously. "Eventually we will have to show them what we can really do. But on our terms, not theirs. And when we are ready." "What if I am not sure I can keep pretending?" Maya said quietly. "What if something happens and I react without thinking?" Jake's expression turned sympathetic. "The Krillians?" Maya nodded. "They keep pushing, and I keep holding back. But I'm not sure how much longer I can do it." "Have you thought about just accepting Drakmore's challenge?" Jake asked. "He has been trying to get you into a sanctioned combat trial. If you did it officially, at least there would be rules and supervision." "That is exactly what I cannot do," Maya said. "If I fight him officially and win, it will look like we came here to prove we are better than everyone else. But if I fight him and pretend to lose, I am lying. Either way, it hurts the integration program." "So you are stuck," Jake said. "Cannot fight, cannot run, cannot win." "Cannot win without showing everyone what humans really are," Maya agreed. And Earth Command was very clear. "We are not ready for that yet. The other species are still getting used to us. If they find out too soon how much stronger we are, it could cause real problems." They were both quiet for a moment. Then Jake said, "You know what the worst part is? They think we are weak. They think Earth's reputation is exaggerated. They have no idea that you are showing incredible restraint just by walking away from them." "Maybe that is for the best," Maya said. Maybe they do not need to know. But even as she said it, she was not sure she believed it. Something was going to break. She could feel it building like pressure before a storm. The question was not if it would happen, but when. Over the next week, Drakmore and his friends escalated further. They destroyed Maya's class notes. They tripped her in the cafeteria. They made loud comments whenever she was near, always just quiet enough to avoid being reported but loud enough for her to hear. "Look, the weak human. I heard Earth is not really that dangerous, probably just stories. How did something so pathetic survive a Deathworld?" Other students started to notice. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked away, not wanting to get involved. A few, like Iris 7, tried to intervene, but the Krillians ignored them. Commander Raxith pulled Maya aside after class one day. "Cadet Collins, I am aware of the harassment you have been experiencing. I want you to know that if you file a formal complaint, it will be taken seriously." "Thank you, sir," Maya said, "but I would prefer to handle it myself." The commander looked at her carefully. "There is a difference between handling a situation and enduring abuse, cadet." "I know, sir, but filing a complaint will not solve the real problem. It will just make them more resentful. And what is the real problem? They do not understand strength that does not come with size or armor," Maya said. "They do not understand restraint. Until they do, this will keep happening." Raxith nodded slowly. "You may be right. But be careful, cadet. Restraint has limits. And I suspect yours are closer than you think." The xenobiology class had been long and difficult. Professor Kellix had spent 2 hours explaining the differences between oxygen-breathing species and those who used other gases. Maya's head hurt from trying to memorize all the information. She gathered her things slowly, waiting for the other students to leave first. She had gotten good at avoiding the hallways when Drakmor and his friends were around. She knew their schedules now, knew which routes they took. Usually she could slip past without being noticed. But today was different. As Maya stepped into the corridor, she realized immediately that something was wrong. This hallway should have been busy with students changing classes. Instead, it was empty. The lights seemed dimmer than usual, and there was complete silence. Maya's instincts, trained on a world where everything wanted to kill you, screamed danger. She started to turn back toward the classroom, but the door had already sealed behind her. These doors locked automatically between classes. She was stuck, going somewhere human. Maya turned slowly. Drakmor stood at one end of the hallway, blocking her path. Zenith and Vental emerged from a side corridor, cutting off her other escape route. They had planned this carefully. "The hallway is closed for maintenance," Drakmor said, moving closer. His armored feet made heavy sounds on the metal floor. "No other students will come through here for another 30 minutes. No teachers either." Maya looked around carefully. The security cameras on the walls were dark, disabled. This was not a random encounter. They had prepared for this. "What do you want?" Maya asked, keeping her voice steady even as her heart rate increased. "Answers," Drakmor said. He was only a few feet away now, towering over her. "I want to know why you are really here. I want to know how a weak species from a supposedly dangerous world got into this academy. I want to know what you are hiding." "I am not hiding anything," Maya said. "It was a lie and they all knew it." "Liar," Zenith hissed from behind her. "We have watched you. You move wrong, react wrong. That survival simulation that killed 2 Vexian students last year. You walked through it like it was nothing. The high-gravity training that puts most species in medical care. You acted bored." "We think humans are frauds," Vental added. "We think your world is not really dangerous. We think you cheated somehow to get here. And we are going to prove it," Drakmor said. He pulled out a small recording device. "We are going to test you, push you, see what you really are. And when you break, when you cry and beg, we will show everyone that humans are nothing special." Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. This was not just bullying anymore. This was planned, deliberate. They were going to hurt her, record it, and use it to destroy the human integration program. "You do not want to do this," Maya said quietly. "Are you threatening us?" Drakmor laughed. "You? Threatening me? I am twice your size, little human. My armor can withstand plasma fire. What can you possibly do?" Maya's mind raced. She could try to talk her way out, could try to run. But she knew neither would work. They had blocked the exits. They had disabled the cameras. They had made sure no one would interrupt. They wanted this confrontation. And somewhere deep inside, a part of Maya that she had been suppressing for weeks started to wake up. The part that had survived on Earth. The part that knew how to fight, how to hurt, how to win. The part she had been desperately trying to hide. "Last chance," Maya said. Her voice had changed slightly, gotten quieter, calmer. "Walk away now." "Or what?" Drakmor reached for her, his large hand coming toward her shoulder. It happened fast. Maya's hand moved, catching Drakmor's wrist. She twisted, using his own momentum against him. On Earth, judo and aikido were not just martial arts. They were survival skills. When everything on your planet was bigger and stronger than you learned to use force against itself. Drakmor stumbled, surprised. He had expected her to feel like pushing aside paper. Instead, it was like hitting a wall. Maya's grip was iron strong, her muscles dense from growing up in gravity 3 times heavier than this station. "What?" Drakmor started to say. Maya did not let him finish. She dropped low, her leg sweeping out. On Earth, this move would have been difficult. Here, in the station's light gravity, it was devastating. Drakmor's feet left the ground. For a moment, all 8 feet of armored Krillian was airborne. Then he crashed down hard. The floor rang with the impact. Zethic and Vental stared in shock. Their leader, the strongest student in their class, was on the ground. It was impossible. Humans were weak, small, harmless. Then Zethic roared and charged. He was fast for his size, but Maya had been born on a world where slow meant dead. She saw him coming in what felt like slow motion. Her reflexes, tuned for a planet where predators moved like lightning, made his attack seem sluggish. She sidestepped. Her elbow came up, catching Zethic right where his armor plates joined at the shoulder. It was a weak point. She had learned Krillian anatomy in class. The impact was precise and devastating. Zethic howled in pain and crashed into the wall behind where Maya had been standing. Vental was smarter. He did not charge. Instead, he circled carefully, his eyes wide. "What are you?" he whispered. "I told you to walk away," Maya said. Her breathing was controlled, steady. This was not even hard for her. These students had trained in comfortable gyms. Maya had trained by simply existing on Earth, where every day was a fight against gravity, weather, and nature itself. Drakmor was getting up. His armor had protected him from serious injury, but he looked shaken. "Impossible," he growled. "No one that small should be that strong." "You do not understand," Maya said. She was not even breathing hard. "You think strength is about size, about armor. But on Earth, we do not have those things. We have to be strong in different ways." Drakmor charged again, this time more carefully. He was a trained fighter. Maya could see it in his stance. But he had never fought anyone like her. His attacks were powerful but predictable. Maya flowed around them like water, never there when his strikes landed. She hit him in the joints, the weak points, the places where even natural armor had gaps. Each strike was precise, controlled. She was not trying to kill or permanently injure, just to stop, to survive. The same way she would handle a dangerous animal back home. Respect its power, but do not let it hurt you. Zethic tried to help his leader. He grabbed for Maya from behind. She dropped under his reach, spun, and kicked upward. Her foot, which had been built by a lifetime of walking and crushing gravity, hit his chest like a hammer. Zethic flew backward and did not get up again. Vental was backing away, his hands raised. "Please," he said. "We are sorry. We did not know." Maya looked at him, then at Drakmor, who was on one knee, his arm hanging at an odd angle. Not broken, but dislocated. And at Zethic, who was conscious but stunned on the floor. The fight had lasted less than 15 seconds. "The cameras are off," Maya said quietly. She was thinking fast now. "No one saw this. It can stay that way." "What? What are you?" Drakmor gasped, looking up at her with something new in his eyes. Not contempt. Fear. Maya felt sick. This was exactly what she had not wanted. She had lost control, shown them what humans really were, and now they were afraid. "I am just a student," Maya said. "Trying to fit in. That is all I ever wanted." She walked past them, her legs shaking slightly now that the adrenaline was fading. Behind her, she heard Vental helping the others, heard their confused, frightened whispers. Maya found an empty storage room and slipped inside. She leaned against the wall, her heart pounding. What had she done? The integration program was supposed to be careful, slow, building trust over time. Instead, she had just beaten up 3 students in under 15 seconds. Earth Command was going to be furious. Principal Vexthon would probably expel her. The other species would hear about this and become more afraid of humans, not less. Unless. Maya thought about the disabled cameras, the empty hallway. No witnesses. If no one talked about it, maybe it could stay secret. The Krillians would not want to admit they had been beaten by a weak human. She certainly was not going to report it. Maybe, just maybe, she could pretend it never happened. Maya waited in the storage room for 10 minutes, getting her breathing under control. Then she stepped back out into the hallway. It was starting to fill with students again as classes changed. She slipped into the crowd, just another student, but she could not stop thinking about the look in Drakmor's eyes. The fear, the confusion. The realization that everything he thought he knew about humans was wrong. She found Jake and Beth in their usual study area. They took one look at her face and knew something had happened. "What is it?" Beth asked immediately, standing up. "Are you okay?" "I need to tell you something," Maya said quietly. "But not here, somewhere private." They found an empty conference room and sealed the door. Maya told them everything. The ambush, the fight, how fast it had happened, how easily she had won. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Did anyone else see?" "No. They disabled the cameras, made sure we were alone." "Then maybe it is okay," Beth said slowly. "If no one talks about it, maybe it stays secret." "You do not understand," Maya said. "I hurt them. I showed them what I could do. They know now. They know humans are dangerous." "Maybe that is not a bad thing," Jake said. "Maybe they needed to know." Earth Command said. Maya did not sleep well that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the fight again. Saw Drakmor falling, heard the impact of Zenith hitting the wall, felt the precise moment when her carefully maintained control had snapped. Iris 7 noticed something was wrong. Her head patterns kept shifting to worried blue-green colors. "Maya, you seem troubled. Did something happen today?" "Just tired," Maya lied. "Long day," but Iris 7 was perceptive. "I have noticed the Krillian students have not bothered you this evening." "That is unusual. They usually make comments when they see you." Maya's heart skipped. "Have you seen them?" "Briefly." "In the medical wing," Iris 7 tilted her head. Drakmor had his arm treated. Zethic had bruised ribs. Vental seemed unharmed but very quiet. "Do you know what happened to them?" Maya carefully kept her expression neutral. "No, should I?" Iris 7 studied her with those deep black eyes. Then surprisingly she smiled. "Of course not. I am sure they simply had an accident. Perhaps the artificial gravity malfunctioned." There was something in her tone that made Maya look at her more closely. "You know something?" "I know many things," Iris 7 said. Her pattern shifted to calm purple. "I know that you are kind and patient. I know that you have been harassed for weeks. And I know that Quellens can sense emotions in others, especially strong ones." Maya felt cold. "What did you sense?" "Fear," Iris 7 said simply. "Deep, overwhelming fear. From 3 Krillian students who have never been afraid of anything in their lives. And from you, guilt." She reached out and gently touched Maya's hand. "Whatever happened, I do not think you wanted it to happen." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She had been holding everything in, trying to stay strong. "I did not. I really did not." "Then you have nothing to feel guilty about," Iris 7 said firmly. "Self-defense is not a crime, not here. Not anywhere." Over the next 2 days, Maya waited for someone to report what had happened, for Principal Vexthon to call her to his office, for security to question her. But nothing happened. The Krillians were staying silent. But while they were not talking to the administration, they were definitely talking to someone. Maya started to notice changes in how other students treated her. Some students actively avoided her now. They would see her coming and suddenly find somewhere else to be. Others stared at her with open curiosity, whispering to their friends when she passed. In survival training, students who used to ignore her now watched her every move. When she completed a challenge, they would exchange significant looks. Jake noticed it too. "Something is spreading," he said one day at lunch. "Some kind of rumor. People keep looking at you weird." "Looking at all of us weird," Beth corrected. She had noticed it as well. "Yesterday, a Vexian student asked me how strong humans really are, and a Pix actually fled when I walked past. They never flee from anything." "The Krillians talked," Maya said quietly. "They must have, but it was stranger than that." There was no official report. No formal complaint. Just whispers and changed behavior. It was like information was spreading through invisible channels, person to person, never officially acknowledged. The truth came 3 days after the incident. Maya was in the library trying to study, when Iris 7 hurried over to her table. Her patterns were flashing rapid orange, excitement mixed with concern. "Maya, I need to show you something. Come with me." They went to a quiet corner of the library. Iris 7 pulled up her datapad and showed Maya a file. "This is spreading through the Quellen network. We share thoughts and memories sometimes through our psychic connections. One of my cousins is in the medical wing. She treated Zethic after his accident." Maya felt her stomach drop. "And?" and she read fragments of his memory while treating him. We cannot help it sometimes. Strong emotions leave imprints. Iris 7 hesitated. Maya, I'm going to share with you what she saw, but I want you to know that I am not afraid of you. None of my people are. We understand. She touched Maya's hand, and suddenly Maya saw it. Not a recording, but a memory. Zethic's memory. The hallway. The confrontation. But seen from his perspective, it looked different. Maya moved impossibly fast. Her strikes were precise like a surgeon. The whole thing was over before he could process what was happening, and underlying it all was his pure primal terror, not terror of being hurt. Terror of realizing he had attacked something far more dangerous than himself, like a rabbit realizing it had just picked a fight with a wolf. Iris 7 released Maya's hand and the memory faded. That is what happened, she said quietly. And that is what the Quellans are sharing with each other. Not as gossip, but as understanding. Understanding of what? Maya asked, her voice shaking. Of what humans really are, Iris 7 said. Maya, we looked up your world after this. Really looked? Not just the basic information, but the details. Earth's gravity is 3 times what most species consider survivable long-term. Your atmosphere contains free oxygen at levels that would be toxic to many species. Your weather patterns include storms that could destroy cities. Your oceans have pressures that would crush most ships. And your planet is filled with predators. I know all of this, Maya said. But do you understand what it means? Iris 7 asked intensely. Every other species in the galaxy evolved on worlds that were relatively safe. We had challenges, yes, but nothing like Earth. We developed technology because we had time to think, to plan, to build. Your species developed technology while everything on your planet was trying to kill you. That makes you different. That makes you dangerous, Maya finished quietly. Survivors, Iris 7 corrected. There is a difference. Dangerous implies you want to hurt others, but you do not. You just want to live, to learn, to be part of the galaxy. That is not dangerous. That is admirable. Maya wanted to believe her, but she kept thinking about the fear in Zethic's memory. Not everyone will see it that way. Some will not, Iris 7 admitted. But many will. Already I have heard students talking. Some are frightened, yes, but others are curious, respectful. They understand now why the council was so insistent on including humans in the academy. Over the following week, the shift became more obvious. The change in how students treated Maya was dramatic. Some students were indeed frightened. They gave her a wide berth in hallways. But others seemed almost fascinated. A group of Vexian students asked if they could interview her for a class project about adaptation. A Pix asked if she would help with a research paper on high-gravity evolution. The biggest surprise came from Professor Kellix, the xenobiology teacher. She called Maya to her office one afternoon. Miss Collins, the professor said, her tentacles waving thoughtfully. I have heard interesting rumors about you, specifically about an incident in a maintenance corridor. Maya's heart raced. I do not know what you mean, Professor. Of course you do not, Professor Kellix said, but there was no accusation in her tone. No one does, officially. But unofficially, students are talking. And I must say it has made my teaching much easier. How so? Maya asked, confused. Because now, when I explain Deathworld adaptation, I have a living example. Students understand much better now why evolution on dangerous worlds produces such remarkable results. The professor leaned forward. Miss Collins, I'm not here to punish you. I am here to ask if you would be willing to participate in some comparative studies. Voluntary, of course. Tests of strength, reaction time, endurance. Nothing invasive. Just data that could help us all understand your species better. Maya hesitated. Would this be official? It would be academic, Professor Kellix said. Which is even better. Science, not politics. Would you be interested? Maya thought about it. This could be a way to show the truth about humans in a controlled educational setting. No violence, no fear, just facts. I would need to discuss it with the other human students, Maya said finally. This affects all of us, of course. Let me know your decision. That evening, Maya, Jake, and Beth met to discuss it. They found a private conference room and talked for hours. It could be good, Beth said. Show them we are strong, yes, but not aggressive. Not dangerous unless threatened. Or it could backfire, Jake countered. Make them more afraid. I think the secret is already out, Maya said. Students know. The question now is how we control the narrative. They decided to agree to Professor Kellix's request, but with conditions. The studies would be educational. open to all students who wanted to observe. And humans would be shown not just as strong but as adaptable, cooperative, and peaceful. The first demonstration happened a week later. Professor Kellick set up a series of standard physical tests in the main gymnasium. Students from all species attended. Jake went first. He ran on a treadmill at increasing speeds and inclines. Then he lifted weights. Then he completed an obstacle course. Nothing extreme by human standards, just normal exercise. But the watching students gasped. Jake was moving faster and lifting more than species twice his size. Beth demonstrated endurance. She held positions that required sustained muscle control for minutes at a time. She held her breath for over 4 minutes. She maintained focus through distractions that made other species lose concentration immediately. Then it was Maya's turn. Professor Kellick set up a high-gravity chamber, the same one used in survival training. The gravity inside was set to twice the station's normal level. 3 weeks had passed since what students were now calling the corridor incident. Maya still cringed at the name, but at least people were talking about it openly now instead of in frightened whispers. Principal Vexthon had finally called her to his office. Maya went alone, her stomach tight with worry. This was it, the moment when everything would come crashing down. The principal's office was large and impressive, with windows overlooking the stars. Vexthon sat behind his desk, his massive Krillian frame making the furniture look small. When Maya entered, he gestured for her to sit. "Miss Collins," he said, his voice rumbling. "I believe we need to have a conversation." "Yes, sir," Maya said quietly. "I have heard many stories in the past weeks. Stories about you and 3 of my students. Stories about a confrontation in a maintenance corridor. Stories about injuries that were officially reported as accidents." He leaned forward. "Would you like to tell me what really happened?" Maya took a deep breath. There was no point in lying. "They cornered me. Disabled the cameras. They wanted to prove humans were weak, that we did not belong here. They attacked me and I defended myself." "I see," Vexthon said. "And the extent of their injuries?" "A dislocated shoulder, bruised ribs, minor armor damage. Nothing permanent." Maya met his eyes. "I could have hurt them much worse. I chose not to." "Yes," Vexthon said slowly. "That is what I am beginning to understand about your species. You choose. Even when threatened, even when attacked, you choose how much force to use." He was quiet for a moment. "Do you know why I was reluctant to accept human students?" Maya shook her head. "Because I was afraid," Vexthon admitted. "Earth is legendary. A Class 12 Deathworld. I have visited many dangerous places in my career, but I would never set foot on Earth without extensive protective equipment. The thought of beings who evolved there, who lived there naturally, was terrifying. I worried that humans would be violent, aggressive, unpredictable. And now?" Maya asked. "Now I see I was wrong. Not about your capability, if anything, I underestimated that. But about your nature." Vexthon stood and walked to the window. "You were harassed for weeks, bullied, provoked, and you showed remarkable restraint. You only defended yourself when directly attacked, and even then, you used minimal force. That is not the behavior of a violent species. That is the behavior of a peaceful species that knows exactly how dangerous it can be." Maya felt relief wash over her. "So I am not being expelled?" "Expelled?" Vexthon turned to look at her, surprised. "Miss Collins, you are being commended. The Galactic Council has reviewed the incident. After I finally filed a full report, they agree that you acted appropriately in self-defense. In fact, they are quite impressed by your restraint." He returned to his desk and pulled up a holographic display. "The Council has authorized me to make changes to our integration program. We are no longer going to ask human students to hide their capabilities. That was a mistake. It led to misunderstanding and conflict. Instead, we are creating educational programs to help other species understand Deathworld adaptation." "Like Professor Kellick's demonstrations?" Maya asked. "Exactly. Those have been remarkably successful. Students are no longer afraid. They are curious, respectful. That is what we wanted from the beginning, where we just went about it the wrong way." Vexthon looked at her seriously. "I owe you an apology, Miss Collins. We put too much burden on you and the other human students. We asked you to constantly suppress your nature to avoid frightening others. That was unfair." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She had been carrying so much guilt, so much worry. Hearing that she had not ruined everything was overwhelming. "Thank you, sir," she managed to say. "No, thank you," Vexthon said. You handled an impossible situation with grace and wisdom beyond your years. You should be proud." As Maya left the office, she felt lighter than she had in weeks. The weight of secrecy and guilt was gone. She could just be herself now. No more hiding. No more pretending to be weak. The changes were immediate and positive. Professor Kellix created a new class called Deathworld Survival Techniques. It was optional but extremely popular. Human students taught classes on everything from emergency medicine to resource conservation to physical fitness. Jake taught a class on endurance and persistence hunting. Students were amazed to learn that humans on Earth used to hunt by simply following prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. No other species could do that. Beth taught emergency response, showing techniques for treating injuries with limited supplies. Her calm efficiency under pressure impressed everyone, especially when she explained that these were basic skills most humans learned growing up. Maya taught a class on situational awareness and adaptive problem solving. She showed students how to assess threats, identify escape routes, and use their environment to their advantage. These were things humans learned instinctively on Earth, where danger was constant. But the most popular class was the combined physical demonstration. Once a week, the human students would show what they could really do when they stopped holding back. Not to show off, but to help other species understand. They ran at full speed, faster than many species thought possible for beings without specialized adaptations. They lifted weights that should have required mechanical assistance. They held their breath for minutes. They endured temperature extremes. They recovered from impacts that would have seriously injured others, and most importantly, they explained everything. This was not bragging. This was education. On Earth, you have to be able to run fast because predators are faster, Jake explained during one demonstration. You have to be strong because everything is heavy. You have to hold your breath because sometimes the air is too toxic or too filled with smoke. You have to endure pain because medical help might be hours or days away. These are not special abilities. These are just normal for humans. Students began to understand that humans were not trying to be superior. They were just different, adapted to conditions that most species would find unlivable, and that adaptation came with both advantages and costs. "Do you miss Earth?" a young Pix asked Maya one day after class. "Every day," Maya admitted. "The gravity here makes me feel like I might float away. The filtered air is too clean. I can barely smell anything. The weather is always the same. It is safe and comfortable, but it feels wrong somehow." "Then why stay?" the Pix asked curiously. "Because this is important," Maya said. "Humans are new to the galaxy. We have so much to learn from other species, and maybe we have things to teach too. About survival, about adaptation, about being strong while choosing to be gentle." The Pix bobbed in the air, thinking, "I understand now why the Council wanted humans in the Academy. You show us that there are different ways to be strong." Maya smiled. "That is the hope." The biggest change came from Drakmor. True to his word, he had started training with Maya. Not combat training, but control training, learning to be aware of his strength, learning when not to use it. They met 3 times a week in a private training room. Maya taught him breathing techniques, meditation, and mindfulness. Things that seemed simple but were revolutionary to a species that had never needed self-control. "My people have always relied on our armor and strength," Drakmor explained during one session. "We never had to learn restraint, because we were always the strongest thing on our world. But meeting you showed me that real strength is knowing when not to fight. That is what my father taught me," Maya said. "He was a soldier. He could hurt people easily, but he chose not to. He said that was what made him strong. Not the hurting, but the choosing." Drakmor nodded slowly. "I wish I had understood that before. I wish I had not attacked you." "If you had not, I might never have shown anyone what humans really are," Maya said. "And we would all still be pretending, still hiding. Maybe it needed to happen. Still," Drakmor said, "I am sorry. I know. And I forgive you." Their friendship became well known around the station. Students found it inspiring. A Krillian and a human, once enemies, now training partners and friends. It showed that understanding was possible, that differences could be bridges instead of walls. Other friendships formed too. Beth became close with several medical students from different species. They learned from each other, combining techniques and knowledge. Jake joined a mixed-species sports team and led them to victory, not by dominating but by encouraging everyone to push their limits. Iris 7 and Maya remained roommates and best friends. The Quellen girl loved learning about Earth and human culture. Maya loved learning about Iris Seven's psychic abilities and her people's philosophy. "Your species is fascinating," Iris Seven said one evening as they studied together. "You have been through so much. Your entire evolution was a fight for survival, yet you are not cruel or aggressive. How did you stay kind?" Maya thought about it. "I think because we survived together. Humans are not the strongest or fastest animals on Earth. We survived because we worked together. We took care of our sick and injured. We shared food. We taught each other. Being kind was a survival strategy." "That is beautiful," Iris Seven said, her patterns glowing warm gold. "You are strong because you care. That is the best kind of strength." 6 months after the corridor incident, the Academy held a ceremony. Maya and the other human students were called to the main hall along